Hi, I'm Helen. I'm going to tell you some stories today. I'm in the woods. Can you hear the birds? So lovely here. Now, fairies like the woods, and today I'm going to tell you a story about a really old fairy who lives in Llanmadog. Now, I say she lives there because I think she still does, but the last time she was seen was hundreds of years ago. Now, she likes to live in a well, and that's why this story is called The Fairy Well. So a very long time ago, an old lady was in her kitchen making supper. All of a sudden, she heard a knock at the door. So she walked slowly to the door because she was quite old, opened the door, and there in front of her was an even older lady, very, very old, stooped over and quite grey in her face. She looked up at the mistress of the house and said, "Can I borrow a sieve to sieve gold?" The mistress of the house thought, what would she want a sieve for? She looks so old and she looks so very poor. "No, sorry, said the mistress of the house. "I don't have a sieve. Sorry about that." The old lady looked her straight in the eye. "My dear, you do have a sieve. It's in your backyard and it's straining hops over a great big vat." Now, the mistress of the house was indeed straining hops because she was making beer. She thought about this. How could she possibly know that I had a sieve in the back of my house? She must be one of the magical fairy folk. She must be a Gower fairy folk. She quickly changed her mind. Of course you can borrow my sieve. I'll go and get it for you." So she went as fast as she possibly could, which was actually quite slow, got the sieve for the old lady, gave it to her, and watched her leave. Now, some time later, there was another knock at the door. It was the old lady again. "I have come to return your sieve, and for being so good, may the biggest cask in your house always be full of beer." "Thank you," said the mistress of the house. "But I have a condition," said the old lady, and again she looked her straight in the eye. "If you tell anybody of this secret, I will take my gift away." And with that, the old lady suddenly broke into a run. She sprinted down the garden and disappeared, poof, like that, down the well. Oh, gave the mistress of the house a bit of a shiver. I thought she was a fairy folk, but now I know. She quickly went inside, quite pleased with her new gift. And indeed she did have plentiful beer, and she had lots of friends who kept calling on her because of course they could all share this wonderful treat. Then one day, the mistress of the house, she told her secret. She was so impressed with herself and so proud to have all of these friends that she gave her secret away. And she told people about the fairy folk. And what do you think happened? You're right. As quickly as the old lady disappeared down that well, poof, the gift was taken away. Now, I think there's a moral to that story. There's a little message in there, isn't there? If one of the Gower fairy folk tell you a secret, don't tell anybody else. And if I tell you a secret, do you promise not to tell anybody? I know some people that have seen the Gower fairy folk. And do you know what? I've seen one too. Now I've got another story that I absolutely love. It's a bit of a strange story, and it's about a great big iron door hidden in Llanryddion. Now, a long time ago, because fairy stories always start a long time ago, don't they? so we can just about remember them. A long time ago, there was a priest who lived in Llanryddian, and he had a dream. And in this dream, he saw a vision. So he saw in front of his eyes a great big iron door, and behind the iron door was piles and piles of gold. Now, he was quite a greedy priest, and he thought, "Ooh, I'd like some of this gold." But there was a problem. In front of the gold, there were two sleeping gnomes. They were guarding the treasure. They were probably guarding the treasure for the fairy folk, because the fairy folk have got quite a lot of gold hidden away in the nooks and crannies of North Gower. But in the dream, there was a solution. If he took a small harp with him and played the harp music continuously, so he mustn't stop, the gnomes would stay asleep and he could grab the gold and get away with it. Now, he did realise that he'd have to take someone else with him to do this, because he'd need lots of hands to carry the gold and play the harp music. So he called his manservant, and they both went in search of the iron door. And the next morning, they actually found it. Wow, how lucky were they? So they found the iron door. It's all kind of covered in ivy, and you have to pull back quite a few brambles, get a few scratches, but eventually they find a latch. The manservant lifts the latch, and the priest opens the door as they start to play the harp music. The gnomes stir a little bit, little sniffle. The priest and the manservant stay very still. It's okay, they've gone back to sleep. So the priest quickly gathers as much gold as he can. He puts the pile down outside, goes in, gets another pile, but then he gets really frustrated and he says to the manservant, "For goodness sake, man, help me. I can't carry all this gold on my own." And the manservant, not thinking, puts the harp down. And what do you think happens? The gnomes wake up and the iron door slams shut. We never saw them again. What happened to the poor priest and the poor manservant? Now, when I was a little girl, I used to hunt high and low for this iron door. I used to look everywhere, because I lived near Llanryddian. I used to go hunting with my dad. Do you know, I never found it, so I just thought, wow, maybe it's just a story. But, do you know what I found out recently? The iron door exists. It really does. It really does. And I know where it is. But I'm not going to tell you today. But if I get to meet you one day, I might give you a very big clue. So I hope you enjoyed those stories as much as I enjoyed telling them. Bye!